They erased this from every textbook you ever read, but the truth is, nearly 40% of Rome's population was enslaved, a staggering figure that reveals the darkest underbelly of the ancient empire. You're about to uncover the hidden history of Roman slavery, a story of unimaginable suffering and economic dependence. As you delve into this dark world, you'll begin to realize that the very foundations of Rome were built on the backs of the enslaved, their labor fueling the empire's growth and prosperity. But what happens when the machine that drives the economy is suddenly taken away, and the entire system begins to collapse, leaving you to wonder, could Rome have survived without its slaves? You find yourself standing in the heart of Rome, surrounded by the bustling streets and markets of a bygone era. The air is thick with the smells of fresh bread, olives, and the sweat of the enslaved, who toil day and night to keep the empire running. As you walk through the city, you notice the slave markets, where human beings are bought and sold like cattle, their lives reduced to mere commodities. The sound of haggling merchants and the clanging of chains fills the air, a stark reminder of the brutal reality of slavery. You can't help but ask, what kind of society would condone such a practice, and what were the consequences of this widespread enslavement on the Roman people, as you ponder the true cost of Rome's prosperity? The Roman economy was deeply entrenched in slavery, with slaves working in every aspect of society, from agriculture to domestic service. They were the backbone of the empire, providing the labor that fueled its growth and expansion. But as you look deeper, you realize that this dependence on slavery came at a terrible cost, as the enslaved were subjected to brutal treatment, forced to work long hours in harsh conditions, and denied even the most basic human rights. The revolts that erupted, like the infamous Spartacus uprising, were a testament to the desperation and anger of the enslaved, who fought for their freedom against overwhelming odds. You begin to wonder, how did the Romans justify such cruelty, and what was the ultimate price they paid for their addiction to slave labor, as the darkness of their actions begins to unfold? As you explore the darker corners of Roman history, you'll discover that the abolition of slavery was a major contributing factor to the empire's economic collapse. Without the cheap labor provided by slaves, the Roman economy began to falter, and the once mighty empire was brought to its knees. The collapse was swift and devastating, leaving behind a trail of destruction and chaos. You're left to ponder, was the downfall of Rome an inevitable consequence of its reliance on slavery, and what lessons can be learned from this dark chapter in human history, as the shadows of the past begin to closing in? The truth is, the Roman Empire's demise was a direct result of its own darkness, and as you stand amidst the ruins, you're left with a haunting realization. Rome's collapse was a slow-motion catastrophe, born from the very evil that once sustained it.